It's May 8th, 2022. I'm Todd Dunn, and today I'm in Acadia National Park at the Seawall Campground. Campground will be opening for the season in about 2.5 weeks. So I'm in here just to take a walk, and we'll look at the campground and see how close they are to being ready to open up. For today's walk, we're just going to walk B Loop. Because I think it's the nicest loop here in the campground. It's one of the two original loops built when the campground was built back in the 1930s. And it's the most wooded of the camping loops, and I think that it's the most pleasant. It's also the closest to the ocean. And here's the entrance to B Loop coming up. Last time I was here, the sign saying Loop B had been broken off and was lying on the ground. So the Park Service has been here and repaired the sign. And we'll have a look at the loop itself when we get in there. And here we go, entering B Loop. There's a stack of wood there. There was a tree that fell across the road this winter. I don't know if they're going to move that out or make it available as firewood. The campground opens in just over 2.5 weeks. And here's site number 27. They haven't exactly cleaned it up, and they haven't set the picnic table up yet. So we'll see what the other sites look like. Well, here we go into B Loop on a sunny Sunday, May 8, 2022. And another tree that fell across the road, all cut up and split. And we'll take a look into site number 2. When I get up here just a little bit more, and they tidied it up a little, but they still have not set the picnic table up yet.
They set the one up here though.
Yeah, site number 1, they have set the picnic table up. So maybe they're starting doing the odd numbered sites. Hard to say.
Or maybe they just did one and the rest will have to wait.
Yeah. Well, they've got 2.5 weeks, and then they'll open the gate, and the influx of 2022 visitors to Acadia National Park will begin here at the Seawall Campground. So here's a little bit further in here on B Loop. Another site, picnic table not set up yet. Now these are pretty much all tent sites in here. And if you listen, you can hear the surf. At least I can. I don't know if the camera will pick it up. But this is a very pleasant loop to walk. And I think of the camping loops here in Seawall Campground, this would be the most pleasant one to stay at too, because the sites are well spaced out, and it's nicely forested, as you can see. And none of these campsites have any services, but there is water available, and I think it's turned on because I saw the town of Southwest Harbor. Nope, it isn't. Not yet in here, but the town was flushing the water line that comes out here about 10 days ago. And here is one of the paths over to the restroom. This loop, I believe, only has one restroom, and sites are numbered 1 to 27. But I think there are two sites in here that no longer exist. Very pretty cedar trees here. And we're only about 100 yards from the ocean here. Okay, we're finishing the loop here in B loop. And site 27 again. A lot of little pieces of branch down. But that's a nice isolated site, except that it's also relatively close to the main road here in the campground. And from here, if you go to the right, the next loop is the walk-in tent loop right over there. And if you keep going, you go past the amphitheater, and finally you get out to the RV loop and then the group campsite, which is about 3/8 of a mile back there. And the other way goes back out to the entrance, and you can easily walk from here to the ocean in 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, this is A loop. I'm gonna walk around it, see somebody else in there, and walking through. This loop is a mix of tent sites and sites that can accommodate a small RV. I'd say up to maybe 22 feet. And it's pretty quiet in here. Looking at the campsites, I can see that they have not set the picnic tables up in here either. You can see one back there in site number 2. And the wood from the fallen trees is stacked by the road. I suspect that they will come through and load that up. They have an area in the back here where they keep split wood like this. And this is again one of the original loops. Unfortunately, the camera doesn't transmit the nice forest smell back here. The trees are starting to leaf out, and it's very peaceful in here. And this loop has, in addition to the campsites, one other attraction, and that is when we get up here to about site 15 or 16, there is an old family burial ground that was used by the people who homesteaded this area back in the early 1800s. And this land was transferred to the U.S. government in 1919, and it was used as a naval radio station. And then finally, right around 1930, the Navy closed its radio station, and the land was transferred to Acadia National Park, and the campground was built in the early to mid 30s. We're up here, site 14, 15, and 16, and this area is much more open than the other side of this loop, and much more open than B loop. And that's one of the reasons I like B loop better. It's more forested, and you get a real feel that you're in the woods over there. Right now I'm at the very back of A Loop, and now we will head back over to the main road. And this side, which is closer to the ocean, is more forested, but still more open than B Loop. And here is more water. And lots of campsites. This particular loop has, I believe, 37 campsites. And they're a little bit bigger than the sites in B Loop. Consequently, some of these, as I mentioned earlier, can accommodate a small RV. Certainly a Class B or van. This one, there's plenty of room to back in. And you can back in here too. And pretty much anywhere in this loop is only 5 minutes or so from the ocean. And if you listen, the sort of white noise is the surf. Okay, we're walking back out of the campground, go out to the entrance, and we're going to go across the main road and over to the Seawall Picnic area and have a look at the ocean. From where we're standing now, in front of the entrance station for the campground, it's about 200 yards to the ocean. This is the gate where you come into the campground, and if you go straight across the road, you enter the Seawall Picnic area where you can walk right to the ocean. And if you go left here, it's about 150 yards down to what I call Seawall proper, where the road is right on top of a natural seawall and right next to the ocean. I'll show you that when we get out to the road. And we're just going to walk across to the picnic area today. And so here's the main road, and it's only, as I said, about 150 yards down there to the natural seawall and the ocean. But this way, it's much shorter. Now, here we are about a minute from the road, and there is the North Atlantic. Okay, here's the ocean beach. It's a typical Maine rocky beach. Yeah, a little bit of surf today, nothing spectacular. That's Great Cranberry Island across. And picnic table you can have a snack at or just sit and look out over the ocean. We're going to walk up to the next one, which is a little bit further from the road and a little bit more sheltered. Now, here's the picnic table. We're going to sit down and enjoy the view out over the ocean. And it's May 8th today. In 9 days, my sailboat Sequester will be in the water, and hopefully not long after that I will be out there looking at the Seawall Picnic area from out on the boat. And another look at Great Cranberry Island, and over there is the natural seawall. Tide is out a bit right now. I hope you enjoyed this little walk in Acadia National Park today. 2.5 weeks before the Seawall Campground opens for the season. Lots of solitude in there right now. It'll be a little different in a couple of weeks. So if you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't, why don't you consider subscribing to my channel? And thanks for watching.